You're going to fight that?
I'm going to kill that.
Season 4 of Game of Thrones is one of those seasons that just hits different. It has everything fans love: drama, action, and unforgettable moments. This season took everything up a notch and gave fans a ton of things to talk about. If you've been a fan of the show, you know what I'm talking about. Season 4 was the perfect mix of epic battles, shocking deaths, and powerful character moments. It feels like every single episode had something big happening. In this video, I'll dive into the 5 main reasons why Season 4 stands out from the rest. We'll look at everything from iconic battles to the amazing storylines that kept us on the edge of our seats. By the end, you'll see why Season 4 isn't just a season, but the season. Let's kick things off with one of the most epic battles in Game of Thrones history: the Battle at the Wall. This episode, The Watchers on the Wall, was all about action and tension. Jon Snow and the Night's Watch had to defend the wall against a massive wildling army. It wasn't just about swords and arrows either. It showed us the courage and loyalty of these characters. It was like watching a mini-movie that had fans cheering and gasping at every turn. The scale of the battle was something we hadn't seen before. The wall looked massive, and the wildlings brought everything they had. From giants to flaming arrows, it was clear that this wasn't just a fight. It was a war. The episode had that big-budget feel that made every scene look stunning. And the stakes were higher than ever because the Night's Watch was seriously outnumbered. Jon Snow was the star of the battle, no question. His bravery and leadership skills really shone through. He wasn't just fighting for himself, but for everyone on the wall. This episode proved that Jon was a true hero, and it gave fans a reason to root for him even more. His showdown with the wildling chief was intense, and showed his growth as a warrior. The emotions were high, especially with Jon and Ygritte's story. Their love was complicated, and seeing them on opposite sides added so much depth. The moment Ygritte dies in Jon's arms was heart-wrenching. It was one of those scenes that made fans tear up and remember why they loved this show. This episode wrapped up their storyline in a way that was both sad and beautiful. The battle at the wall was one of the best parts of Season 4. It was intense, emotional, and unforgettable. Every scene kept fans on the edge of their seats. It showed the strength of the Night's Watch and Jon's rise as a leader. If you ask any fan, they'll tell you that this battle was one of the highlights of the season. Now, let's talk about one of the most satisfying moments in Game of Thrones: Joffrey's death. The Purple Wedding is the episode where it all goes down. Joffrey's been causing chaos since the beginning, so fans were ready for him to go. And when he finally did, it was epic. This moment was shocking, intense, and a total game-changer. Joffrey's death wasn't just satisfying for fans, it changed everything. With him gone, there was a power vacuum in King's Landing. It left the Lannisters scrambling to figure out what to do next. Everyone knew that Joffrey's death would lead to chaos. The ripple effects of his death were felt throughout the entire season. The scene itself was unforgettable. It happened during a wedding, so it caught everyone off guard. Joffrey's face turned purple, and he started choking. It was brutal and hard to watch, but fans couldn't look away. This was a moment that had fans talking for weeks. Cersei's reaction made the scene even more intense. She was devastated, and you could feel her anger and sadness. It was the first time we saw her truly broken. Her relationship with Joffrey was complicated, but he was still her son. Her pain was real, and it added so much depth to her character. Joffrey's death was one of the biggest reasons Season 4 stands out. It shocked fans and changed the story in major ways. It was satisfying to see such a hated character finally get what he deserved. This moment showed that Game of Thrones wasn't afraid to make bold moves. Season 4 would not be the same without this unforgettable scene. Next up, we've got one of Tyrion Lannister's most memorable moments: his trial. Season 4 really put Tyrion through the ringer, and this trial scene was his breaking point. Accused of killing King Joffrey, Tyrion had to face the court in King's Landing. He was betrayed by people he trusted, which made the whole thing even worse. It was like the entire world had turned against him, and it was tough to watch. Tyrion's speech during the trial was powerful. He was tired of being treated like the villain just because he was a Lannister. In front of everyone, he finally let loose and spoke his mind. You could feel the anger and frustration in his words. It was one of those scenes where you just sit there, totally glued to the screen. This scene showed just how amazing Peter Dinklage is as an actor. He made every word count, and his facial expression said it all. Tyrion's pain, anger, and betrayal was so real that you almost forgot you were watching a show. This was one of the moments that made Tyrion one of the most beloved characters on Game of Thrones. Fans couldn't stop talking about his speech, and it's easy to see why. The trial was more than just a scene. It was a turning point for Tyrion. After this, he knew he had no future in King's Landing. The whole trial pushed him to make drastic decisions. It was the moment he realized he couldn't stay silent anymore. This was the beginning of a new chapter for Tyrion. Tyrion's trial is one of the reasons Season 4 stands out. It was emotional, powerful, and unforgettable. The trial scene gave fans a deeper look into Tyrion's character. It showed us his strength and resilience. Season 4 wouldn't be the same without this iconic moment. Next, we have one of the most intense and brutal scenes in Season 4, Oberyn's fight with the Mountain. Oberyn Martell was a fan-favorite character from the moment he showed up. He was confident, charming, and full of personality. His fight with the Mountain was his chance for revenge for his sister's death. This fight had everyone on the edge of their seats. Oberyn's fighting style was different from anything we'd seen. He was fast, agile, and confident. He taunted the Mountain, showing no fear at all. It looked like he had the upper hand, and fans were cheering him on. For a moment, it seemed like he was going to win. Then, everything changed in an instant. The Mountain grabbed Oberyn and crushed him in one of the most brutal scenes ever. It was shocking, violent, and hard to watch. Fans were devastated because they had grown to love Oberyn. This scene was a reminder that Game of Thrones could take away fan favorites at any time. This fight had a huge impact on Tyrion's storyline too. With Oberyn's death, Tyrion lost his chance at freedom. It was a crushing blow for him, and for fans who wanted to see him go free. This fight was more than just a battle. It was a turning point. It showed how ruthless and unforgiving the world of Westeros could be. Oberyn's fight with the Mountain was one of the best reasons to love Season 4. It was intense, emotional, and shocking. Fans still talk about it to this day. It showed us how dangerous and unpredictable the Game of Thrones world could be. This scene alone makes Season 4 unforgettable. Tywin Lannister's death was by far my favorite moment in Season 4. It was the perfect way to end off a season. He was one of the most powerful and feared characters in Game of Thrones. Tywin was the mastermind behind so many events, always calm and in control. But in the end, his death was surprisingly personal and tragic. It was a moment fans didn't see coming, and it changed the game completely. The way Tywin died was intense and memorable. He wasn't killed in battle or by a rival. He was killed by his own son, Tyrion. After his escape from prison, Tyrion found Tywin in the most unexpected place, the bathroom. It was a strange and almost humiliating setting for such a powerful man to die. This made Tywin's death feel more personal, as if Tyrion was reclaiming his power in his own way. This scene showed the depth of Tyrion's pain and anger. Tywin had always looked down on Tyrion, treating him like he was nothing. All Tyrion wanted was a father's love, but Tywin never gave him that. This moment was Tyrion finally standing up to the father who had belittled him for years. It was emotional and raw, with Tyrion confronting Tywin in a way he never could before. Tywin's death had a massive impact on the story. Without Tywin, the Lannister family lost its strongest leader. He was the one holding the family and their power together. His death left a huge power vacuum, with no one strong enough to fill his place. This event marked the beginning of the Lannister family's downfall. Fans loved this scene because it felt like justice for Tyrion. He had suffered so much, and this was his moment of revenge. Tywin's death was symbolic, showing that even the most powerful could fall. It was one of those scenes that made fans cheer for Tyrion. This unforgettable moment was yet another reason why Season 4 was the best. As an honorable mention, I want to include the unlikely partnership between Arya and the Hound. Their journey together was both funny and heartbreaking. They formed a bond that no one saw coming. They didn't trust each other at first, but over time, they found common ground. It was one of those storylines that kept fans hooked all season long. Arya's character grew a lot during this season. She was no longer just a scared kid. She was becoming a survivor. The Hound taught her how to fight and survive. He was like a tough, rough-around-the-edges mentor. This was the season where Arya started to find her true self. The Hound, on the other hand, showed a softer side. He wasn't just a cold-hearted killer. He had feelings too. His relationship with Arya brought out the best in him. He even opened up about his past, which was surprising. Fans got to see a different side of the Hound in Season 4. Their journey wasn't just about survival. It was about finding themselves. They both had lost so much and were dealing with a lot of pain. Their conversations were real and raw. They shared stories, laughed, and even argued. It felt like they were both healing in their own way. Arya and the Hound's journey was one of the best parts of Season 4. It showed growth, friendship, and survival. Their dynamic was unique and unforgettable. Fans loved watching their bond grow throughout the season. This storyline made Season 4 even more special. Season 4 of Game of Thrones was packed with iconic moments. From epic battles to unforgettable character moments, it had everything. This season brought fans some of the most intense scenes in the whole series. The battle at the wall, Tyrion's trial, Joffrey's death, Arya and the Hound's journey, and Oberyn's fight were all highlights. Each one of these moments added something unique to the season. They made Season 4 stand out and stay in fans' hearts. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, it's hard not to see why Season 4 is the best. It had drama, action, and deep character moments. Season 4 truly is a season that fans will remember forever.